Hi there, I'm Cordy, and I want to do some thumbnail sketching with you today. Sometimes it can be a little bit daunting to create one big drawing, so instead, let's create 9 little ones. I find it most difficult to draw from imagination, so today I'm not going to use any reference images or other tools to help, so let's get started. Thumbnails are especially fun when you don't have a big chunk of time to draw. Then you can just start with one little square and maybe the next day you do the next one. So for my first one, I want to draw an alien. I love drawing aliens. So let's start with the head. I'm going to let it poke out of my frame a little bit so it looks like he's poking his head through. I like big eyes on my characters always, and eyelashes, and I think I'm gonna give this one a little piggy nose. How fun is this? Drawing from imagination, right? That's what I'm imagining. And really big friendly lips. And I think for the head I want to sort of have my alien have a crown, so I'm gonna draw like almost like a little bone structure on the top of the head, so it looks like my alien has a crown. Here we go. So we don't have a reference images, just coming up with stuff. I also like big ears on my aliens and generally on my characters, so here are the big ears. And how about we draw the hands also as if they would poke out, so they come beyond the frame. Nice pointy fingernails. I think that always looks very elegant. Okay, here we go on the side. Just letting them come over the frame. Adding the detail of the fingernails. I think that's pretty cool. And a little sort of organic, leafy shaped outfit. I think he almost looks like a bit of a clown. I do like that though. And to make sure everybody knows that he's from a different planet, we're going to add a couple of planets over here, and then we're already done with the first thumbnail. So I really want you to see that just with a couple of lines, you can make a pretty funny drawing. So next up, I really love dragons. So I thought it would be fun to draw a dragon sort of hanging out in the frame, reading his daily dragon magazine or something. So no references, right? I'm just gonna draw like a sort of a skeleton first. I know I want the tail like this, sort of out of the frame and coming back in. Then the legs are sort of probably, I don't know, sticking forward. What do you think? Yeah, just like big claws. Okay, so on the other end where he's holding his newspaper, let's see if we can create a little claw here as well. Yep, that's fine. And then the newspaper, the daily dragon, a little bit of a belly. And the other claw holding the newspaper. Yeah, I can slowly see it. Now we need the claw on the opposite end of the leg. And then maybe a bit of background, a little volcano. You've got to have, your volcano close by if you're reading your gossip magazines, right? Here's a smiley face with some teeth, eyes, and how about some hair? Let's give him some hair. That would be fun. I'm not quite sure if that's dragon-esque, but do the little prickles on the back. That's definitely dragon-esque. And then let's give him a tattoo. Dragons need a tattoo. They're tough cookies. And then I think we're pretty much done. We'll clean him up a bit more later with the fine liners. So next, I thought it would be fun to draw something that I love eating and drinking, which is coffee and cake. And I'm using a little help here with my little stencils, drawing a horizon line first. And then for my cake, I'm just going to use one of those ellipsy tools. Let's see, I've never tried that before. Let's see how that goes. Definitely a chocolate cake, that's for sure. And I'm going to be nice. I'm going to cut out a little piece for someone else, and then the rest is completely mine. That sounds fair, right? That's how you divide up chocolate cake. So let's give it a little plate to rest on, and then the middle line we don't need. Now let's see, can we cut that piece out of the cake. Maybe like this. Yeah, that looks right. What do you think? Yes, so that's the piece for someone else. Icing on top. And my chocolate cake always needs lots of layers. So what goes best with cake? Coffee. So again, using my little stencil to draw the coffee mug. Mine is a little funny shaped one. Here's the handle. And then I think we can get rid of this line. Okay, and then a little coffee on the inside and a little steam coming out. Here we go. And a design. We're done. So next thumbnail, I thought we'd play around with this concept of breaking open the page again. So I thought I'll try drawing a crack in the page as if it would be gloss. So a random shape with very jagged edges to start with. And then we're going to draw some lines from the center outward, different length, always connected to the pointy bit of one of those jagged edges. Some get to be straight, some get to be squiggly, as if it would be crackling open. Here we go. So it already looks a little bit correct. I want a couple of more splinters. So I'm going to draw some horizontal lines connecting those outward lines with a little bit of texture. That looks a bit more wild. And then adding a little bit more detail around the straight lines, almost like reflections. Yeah, now it looks a bit more scary. So let's draw an eye that looks through. How about that? That would be fun, right? So just a very simple eye shape, very open, in shock, fold of the eye here. And then the top of the eye is always a bit darker because the eyelid creates a shadow. And then never forget the eyelashes. They give it that little bit extra. So I want to do a little bit of shading on the inside of the eye and then on the edge of the glass, so you can see that it's a sort of a background behind the glass, just there on the corner, a little bit of hatching and a little bit more around the cracks. And then we're done. Okay, moving over to the next one. I also like drawing dancers, so I thought it would be neat to draw feet of a ballet dancer. So I'm just gonna map out very roughly the direction and then flesh out those legs. So the bottom bit is gonna be a ballet shoe here, and then the calves go like this. So with drawing bodies, I find it really difficult to not have a reference, but drawing this, I realized it makes sense to just draw lots of lines along the edge of the body and then pick the one that looks the most correct or the most anatomically correct. So let's draw the other leg, the other calf down, and with a pointed forward ballet shoe. So you see the calf there, I just draw lots of lines and I'm going to pick the one that looks the most correct. Okay, the top here needs a little correction. It's not that bulgy. But yeah, the skirt is off and flows out around the frame. I think that's okay. A little bit of ballet shoe detail here. Just quick and a couple of lines. That's the whole point of our thumbnail challenge. So we can move on quickly to the next one. So the next one, I want to go back to food. I'm going to tell you a little secret. I really like donuts. So I'm going to draw a box of donuts. Now I wanted to draw the outer edge with my ruler, but then I thought it looks much more natural when it's organic. I'll just help here with the lines for the perspective towards the bottom of my little donut box. And then I'm going to use another stencil to create those round shapes. A little bit of cheating, but why not, right? If we have the tools, why not use them? It's going to be 6 donuts. They just need the little holes in the middle. And then for the topping, one is going to just have sprinkles and a glaze, and then one is going to have lines And this one I'm gonna have, how about swirls? Give them some swirls and make sure that the swirly bits extend over the edge there. And then stars, sprinkles, that sounds good to me. And one needs to be a face because, you know, it's funny. And one with nuts. And then that's it. Let's move on to the next one. So I love flowers, especially roses. So I thought it would be fun to cover one of our thumbnails with a whole bunch of roses. So they're not really so difficult to draw. You want to start small and then move outward, letting those lines become bigger and bigger as they move away from the center of the rose. And it's always kind of like little half circles, like little half moon shaped lines. And they can be a bit squiggly. The more organic, the better. But you see they built up quite quickly, like a little squiggle in the middle and then round, round, round and round, adding the leaves in between. That way you can create a full frame here quite quickly. Let's add a couple of more. Down here, a little one, and some more leaves. And then we are done, and we can move on over to our second to last sketch. Another thing I love drawing is all kinds of reptiles and chameleons, so I can't have a thumbnail page without a chameleon. I do sort of remember how to draw those roughly, so I think I'm going to start with the outline. That's the easiest. And of course I want the tail outside of the frame again. I think that's such a neat thing to do. It looks quite interesting when doing those thumbnails. We'll just do a lying one. How about that? A couple of branches, the legs wrapped around. And yeah, I guess starting with a contour is a good idea as well. Not just like we did with the dancer sort of skeleton, but starting with the contour. Some detail here. And over to the next one, last one, you guys. So this is the ultimate challenge. I saw this picture of a laughing donkey the other day on Pinterest. So I'm going to try to recreate that without any help of the original image. So let's see, you guys in the comments, you can tell me if it actually looks funny. So I do remember the eyes were sort of bulging out to the side. The ears are not so difficult, and the eyes were not really open, they were just sort of slit. So let's draw that, and then the mouth was very, very open, and the nostrils sort of scrunched up. So let's draw those folds, and then the mouth was open to the side. I don't know, does that look like it? Let's see, like that sort of. And then the teeth, okay. Does that look like a donkey? I'm not sure. You guys tell me if that's funny or not. Here we go. Those are the teeth. And then I think we need a couple of tufts in the middle here and then down the back. Yeah, it does look like a funny donkey. Definitely funny, that's for sure. So that was the last one. Now we're going to move on over to fine liners. I just want to show you a couple of tricks. We're going to need 3 different sizes, and we're going to start with the mid-sized one. So just going around all the main shapes. I have the 0.3, and then to just make it pop off the page, just grab the thickest one that you have. Mine is a 0.8, and go around only the outer edges. And that is really going to make it pop off the page. That just gives it that little bit of extra for the eye to sort of explore. And same thing over in our dragon here, 0.3 for all the edges. And then for the finer detail there, that little tattoo that I gave him, we're just going to use the very thin fine liner. Mine is 0.05. And then again around the outer edge only, we're going to do the 0.8, the thickest one. And then it really looks like it's a little bit more, just a tad more interesting. Now over to our cake and coffee, same thing here, 0.3, the middle-sized one for all the edges, and the thickest one 0.8 for the outer edges, just to give it a bit of the shadow there on the back, to make it a little more interesting for the eyes, some detail there. And next, our eye looking through the cracks. I'm using 0.3 for the base here, and then for some of those cracks I'm going to use the thinnest fine liner and the little detail in the horizontal shards there. I'm also using the smaller fine liner just to make it a little bit more exciting as our eye wanders across the drawing, to have some varied lines there. Okay, a little bit more shading here around the eye, and I think it looks all right. Over to our dancer. Here we want to use the middle fine liner as well for all the lines first. And then for the little detail on the shoes, the thinnest one, so there's a contrast. And then going all around the edges again with a thicker fine liner. I think this is a really good example for you to see what the effect of the different line thicknesses are. It just looks more alive. So with our box here with donuts, I use 0.3, and then for the little detail on the donuts, the thinnest fine liner, and then for the outer edge, our thickest one again. And then with that one, you can create little shadows on the inside of the holes there, and on the outside, always just on one side. So it looks really vivid. Now over here, our roses, using those different line strength is really powerful. So you want to start with the thinnest one in the sort of inner first third, and then with the 0.3 with your mid-size, go outward, sort of filling up that next third or almost to the edge, like so. And don't forget the leaves. And then the last bit, you use your thickest fine liner, and I think you can already see that it does look very different and just a tad more engaging for the eye when you use those different strengths. Here we go, one last one over here, the little one. And yes, one more leaf. Here we go. Now over to our chameleon. Again, 0.3 for most of the drawing, and only for the space around the eyes, those little folds, I'll use 0.05 and a little detail there on top of the head. And the rest is all the thick fine liner going all around, and it gives it that little popping effect. A little bit of shadow on the tail there, and then detail on the back, and we're done. Over to our monkey. Again, 0.3 for most of the outlines, and then the smallest one, thinnest one for the little wrinkles on the nose and the detail of the teeth. And at the very end, we can go across the entire outer shape with the thickest fine liner. I think that really helps to make him look even more funny with that added depth. So that was the last one of our thumbnails. Here they all are. Now they're ready to get some color. I'm still working on mine, so I'm going to show you my colored version hopefully in the next video. Now the question is, what are you going to fill your thumbnails with? Think about what you love drawing the most, or maybe what seems to be a challenge for you, and try it in a small version. I hope you enjoyed watching my try on thumbnails, and I hope to see you soon for more sketchbook adventures. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a fabulous day. Bye!